What is up, you guys? This is JP coming at you with another video. I did a community post about, I would say about 3 or 4 days ago, and I gave you guys a few options. I asked you what video do you guys want to see next, and I think with about 45% of the votes, some deadlift tips is what won out. So that's the video that I'm doing today. I'm about to hit you guys with some good deadlift tips to up your deadlift game, whether it's to get stronger, add some weight on the bar, you can get stronger, or adding weight on the bar increases the volume that you're putting out. And to an extent, when implemented intelligently, more volume means more gains. And again, you can't just stack on volume in an unlimited manner. There's a certain point where you get diminishing returns, and then there's a certain point where you actually start to regress and you see things like overtraining. But again, in general, for the most part, adding weight to the bar is a good thing, so hopefully these tips will help you. My first tip is in regards to the setup of the deadlift. There are many different ways you can set up for the deadlift before you start to pull, but one tip that helped me do this is, it's kind of hard to explain, but I'm gonna tell you the benefits of it first. You can pick up the bar in kind of a traditional manner. You go down to the bar, you come down, chest up, and then from here, you just pull. That's fine, but you're kind of not taking full advantages of the tip that I'm about to show you. Instead of being in that very neat position for a very long time right before you pull the bar with your chest up, back straight, and a good deadlift form, what I like to do is before I pull, I like to start with my back rounded and my hips really high before I pull. What this does is, one, it makes it easier for me to get a big belly breath of air so I can use the Valsalva maneuver to brace. If you don't know what the Valsalva maneuver is, you can check it out somewhere else. I'll probably do a video on it, but I'm not gonna get into that right now because it'll make this video too long. So that's one thing it helps me do, is it helps me get a big deep belly breath of air so I can brace. I can't really do that when I start from a very chest upright, back straight position. The second thing that keeping my hips high and having a rounded back before I pull does is, when I set up and I get into a better position and then I pull, I have kind of like a stretch, the benefits of the stretch reflex helping me start the pull, and then I'm also having the benefit of a little bit of momentum to get the bar off the ground. So again, the first strict way would be, you're down here, you're starting, chest up, back straight, and you lift. That's kind of like a regular. Now how I like to do it is hips high, rounded back. I'm not gonna pull yet. I'm just gripping the bar. I take a big deep belly breath of air. Being in this position helps me get a big deep belly breath of air. And then from there, I drop my hips, straighten out my back, keep my chest up, and then I pull. So that momentum I get from that shift of dropping my hips and then raising my chest, it's almost like a counter torque, a rocking motion, and so I get momentum from that. And there's a lot of muscles contracting and extending there. I'm sure there's a benefit from the stretch reflex from multiple different places. So again, try that tip out for you. Here's kind of like a side-by-side comparison so you can see it. This is the first way. Again, like I said, it feels like I'm moving the bar from a more stiff position. Still good form, but a stiff position. Here's the way that I do it. Again, I think this is gonna help me, again, due to those three factors: get a big deep belly breath of air, taking advantage of the stretch reflex, and I'm also getting that momentum from dropping my hips and then going into the kind of proper technique form. So try this out, try this setup out. Remember, you're not pulling with a rounded back. You're starting with a rounded back before the pull, and then you're straining at your back, getting everything tight, and then that's gonna help you add a little bit more to your deadlift. The second tip is in regards to stance width. Now, a general tip, which is a good tip, is play around with your stance width. But what I see, or what I tend to see, is a lot of people in the conventional deadlift is they have a little bit too wide of a stance width. Now, this isn't an individual thing. So if you have took the time and experimented with every single width in this range and gave each width a shot, then by all means stick to what you have. But if you're someone and you're watching this, if you have not actually tried and experimented multiple days with each kind of like messing with your width a little bit, you probably don't know the benefits of like a closer width. When you have a wider width, even if it's slightly wider, you're not really applying force into the ground in a straight vertical manner. You're kind of having to go at an angle with the ground when you have a slightly wider foot width. When you have a slightly more narrow width, where your feet are directly underneath your hips, it makes it more neat and simple for you to apply force vertically straight into the ground, so you're able to obviously lift a little bit more weight on the bar. So again, this was kind of like what someone would normally be at, and this is kind of like what I would probably want you to try out. Again, it makes it a little bit more easy, and again, you want that straight vertical force straight into the ground so that you can, again, lift more weight, get stronger, gain more muscle by getting a little bit more volume in the long run. Now, also one more kind of note on that too, almost forgot, is I've heard this said this multiple times before, but I actually read this on the definitive deadlift guide on strongerbyscience.com. It's Greg Knuckles. I think he's the main, I think it's his website overall, but he actually got the tip from another guy, and a good reasoning for this is because if you have a box and you need to jump on the box, or you need to do a jump, if you're not thinking about it, if you were to just walk up to a box and then stop and then jump, your feet are actually going to be probably closer than you think. Why do your feet go to this position before you jump? It's because it's the position where you can generate the most force. You don't walk up to a box and start right here or something. That's not what you normally do. Hey, and if you do that, then maybe a wider stance is for you, but I'm only giving you that tip because I think that a lot of you will benefit from going a little bit more narrow with that stance. Now, on to the third tip, which goes really nicely with the second tip, is when you have this closer stance, and even if you don't decide to do a closer stance, is you want to make sure that you get your hands as close to your body as you can without your arms or your hands hitting your legs and messing up your form. So don't go too close that you're hitting your legs during the deadlift, but you also don't want to be so far out. The reason being is, if your hands are right here, okay, if you go wider and wider, wider out, you actually have to bend down further to grab the bar, which is increasing the range of motion that you need to do the lift. So I'm not going to change my body position, I'm only going to go with my arms. You can watch me when I do it. So from here, I'm not going to move, I'm just going to widen out my grip. As you can tell, widening out, my hands start freeing from the bar. I actually have to bend down further to grab the bar. And as I come closer, I can be a little bit more up, which decreases the range of motion that I need to complete the lift. So if you're someone that, it might not be a huge improvement, but it will improve. If you're someone that normally is out here or something, if you go all the way to the inside of the knurling, as long as this doesn't mess up your form, you're going to decrease the motion, range of motion slightly, which is going to be able to help you lift more in the gym. All right, you guys, I hope you liked those tips. Let me know how they work for you. Let me know which ones you liked, which ones you didn't like. If you liked all of them, or if you didn't like all of them. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.